All have access to God's righteousness if they desire it. And the mixed multitude were not cut off. They were permitted to journey with the Israelites if they desired to serve God. In a similar experience, Judas, one of the 12 disciples, was not directly called by Jesus, but yet was accounted one of the disciples. He had the opportunity to share in the same blessings as the others. There are many today who align themselves with the truth, align themselves with Israel, align themselves with the disciples of Jesus. But for what reason? Is it because they have been wooed by God's love, because God has called them? Or do they act out of some selfish motive? Perhaps to promote themselves, perhaps out of fear. There are many reasons why people follow the truth, and not all of them are genuine reasons. Let's read what Spirit of Prophecy says about the mixed multitude. In Patriarchs and Prophets, page 281, it says, "And they went out about 600,000 on foot, that were men, beside children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them. In this multitude were not only those who were actuated by faith in the God of Israel, but also a far greater number who desired only to escape from the plagues, or who followed in the wake of the moving multitudes merely from excitement and curiosity. This class were ever a hindrance and a snare to Israel." What actuated them to leave Egypt? They desired to escape the plagues, or mere curiosity and following the excitement? Many people do that. They follow God's truth. They follow the church of God out of, this is the excitement. Everyone's excited here. The truth is being preached and I can see it's the truth. And let's go along with the excitement. Or some say, I better do what's right because the plagues are going to come soon and I have to be ready. Another way. But it's not the ideal way to leave Egypt or the ideal reason to follow the Lord. Let's turn to the book of Matthew and we'll read what rebuke John the Baptist gave to the Pharisees. What was their motivation in the time of John the Baptist? Matthew chapter 3, verse 7. "And when he saw many of the Pharisees and Sadducees come to his baptism, he said unto them, O generation of vipers, who hath warned you to flee from the wrath to come?" They were actuated out of what? Curiosity or fear, the wrath to come? They were not actuated out of love. In God's church today, there is also a mixed multitude. There always has been, and there always will be. Jesus gave the parables of the parable of the wheat and the tares growing together until the harvest, until the very end. Often we rationalise this parable and say, that applies to Adventists. There's some faithful there, there's some unfaithful. Well, what about us? Does it apply to us? Are we all actuated out of a pure motive to serve the Lord? Or is the mixed multitude among us as well? I pray not, but everyone must examine their own heart. I can only examine my heart, and you only yours. Let's turn again to the book of Numbers and read of the mixed multitude. Numbers chapter 11, we'll read from verses 4 to 6. We read earlier that this class were constantly a hindrance to the Israelites. What did they do which hindered the Israelites? Numbers 11, verses 4 to 6. It says, "And the mixed multitude that were among them fell a-lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again, and said, Who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons, and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all beside this manna before our eyes." Was the manna to be a blessing for them or a curse? The mixed multitude saw it as a curse. Why? It says in verse 4 that they fell a-lusting. What did they lust after? The flesh pots. Yes, that's what every good vegetarian will say. Notice all the other non-flesh things mentioned in the verse. It's interesting. Good things, healthy things. And mind you, the fish were also healthy in that day. It was permitted. It was in Leviticus, fish were listed, and quails as well as healthy food. God said this is okay for food. That wasn't the key point. The flesh, or the onions, or the melons, or the garlic. The key point was that they fell a-lusting. They lusted after the desires of their heart. And let's see what Paul writes about this in 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. We'll read verses 5 and 6. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 5 and 6. It says, "But with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things were our examples, to the intent we should not lust after evil things, as they also lusted." Once again, what was evil with what they lusted after? In a theoretical manner, there was nothing evil. It was good, healthy food. But yet, the fact that they lusted after made it evil. They were not going hungry. The Lord had provided them with food. When they said that was when they were already receiving the manna for some time. They were accustomed to collecting it and doing what they needed to do with it, baking it, grinding it, eating it. Let's turn to Psalms and read there what the psalmist says to us in regards to their experience. Psalm 78 and verses 29 and 30. What was their experience here in the wilderness? They lusted after the flesh,